Hey guys, Mark Sparks, and welcome to the Men's Room interview series. Today, I'm with Vince from Social Evolution. Vince, it's a pleasure to have you here in the Men's Room.
Pleasure to meet you, Mark.
I guess the first thing is, how did you get into the community, and when did you decide that you want to start helping men improve their game?
Well, I got into the community about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
At that time, I had just broken out of my massive World of Warcraft addiction. I'd spent 2 years playing it in my parents' basement.
Oh, wow.
I was such a cool guy back then. And I actually had a World of Warcraft girlfriend that I had been spending time with online.
Okay.
It was, like the peak of desperation at this point. And she broke up with me. And I had a kind of mental breakdown, like, oh, I'm going to be alone forever. I got to figure something out here, otherwise, like, my life is going to suck.
Right.
And I went online, and I discovered David D'Angelo, and from there, I just fell in love with all of this stuff, the community and learning about social skills and communication.
So you went from one world to, and I didn't say it like another, but for like, you went right to something different, very different for you.
Yeah.
And within 2.5 years, you've become not only proficient in the art of communication, but teaching it to people. What do you feel like what moved you along the path so quickly, if you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
There's a few things. First of all, I found some really good gurus to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of guys that get into the community get trapped with certain kinds of information, and they go along the wrong path.
Right.
Being really inauthentic with girls
Right.
and women, and kind of developing a pickup persona,
Mm-hmm.
which eventually just you get burned out and it destroys you.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of inner game stuff, not just from the pickup community, but also from various authors outside of pickup. And really, I learned just how to have fun with it, how to make this such an amazingly fun part of my life.
Right.
And that has been the biggest motivation.
You talk about, you teach, being your authentic self.
Yeah.
And something you kind of touch on things about, getting rid of limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, and fear.
Yeah.
Why do you feel, as opposed to, giving lines and stuff like that, why, canned lines is by what I mean. Why do you feel that's important?
Okay, that's a great question, actually, Mark. I fully believe that it's okay to use that kind of training wheel technique of coming up with a few routines or canned lines to start out.
Okay.
The problem most people, or a lot of people in the community, fall into is they never stop that. They keep building more and more routines and more fakeness on top of their personality. And the thing is, whatever you do in your life, if you have the right mindset, the more you do it, the more confident in it you're going to become. Okay?
Okay.
So if you develop all these routines and lines and everything that aren't congruent with who you really are, they're not fun for you, they're not amusing to you, you're coming from your honest self, then you're going to become really confident in using those lines and everything, but you're going to become confident in being an inauthentic person. What I teach is learning how to become confident in the real person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
What I teach is just getting rid of all the routines, all of that stuff. Focus on learning how to have fun in conversation and communicating with a girl. Learn how to amuse yourself. Learn how to be honest with who you actually are.
Right.
And then become confident in that.
Right.
Because if you're going to be self-amusing, if you're going to have fun when you're talking, of course you're not going to get burned out from it.
Right.
Because it's enjoyable to you.
Right, yeah, you're having a good time.
And at the same time, you'll never feel like you're hiding anything, because you're talking about, like, you're amusing yourself, you're saying what's funny to you. You are communicating, like, honestly, I don't do DHB stories. I don't do anything like that. I'll talk about my fears in my life. I'll tell stories of when I was actually at my weakest moments. And that works completely fine, as long as I'm confident in that.
And I think that's what, a big thing is that confidence underlies, confidence in your real self. You can kind of get away with whatever.
Right.
Or in teaching this thing, you're talking about humor and telling stories. You do a lot of role play with your guys.
Yeah.
And you have over 200 drills.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is like camp.
That's right. It's fun.
Well, look, you know what? Can you give me one or two of those, right?
Sure. So one of the drills I'll do with guys once they've learned some of the basic of conversation drills is I'll learn how to role play actual role plays. So what a role play is in a conversation,
Okay.
I know, verbal, screwing up your mind there. A role play is basically you're pretending in conversation.
Sure.
So if you were a girl, I might make, you're a beautiful girl, by the way.
Thank you.
Need longer hair though. I might make you my girlfriend. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to say, oh my God, you are so much fun. I'm going to make you my new girlfriend. And you just role play this back, pretend that you're actually a girl.
Sure.
I'm going to make you my new girlfriend. All right. We're going to do so many amazing things together. First thing we got to do, we're going to go on a date. Where are you going to take me for this awesome date?
We're going to go to the park and hang out.
And hang out?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like the romantic part of going to the park. That sounds pretty fun.
Okay.
But what are you going to buy me?
What am I going to buy you?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to buy me something?
What backwards reality are you living in here? No, you're going to buy me stuff. Like, okay, when we first meet, I expect chocolates and really pretty flowers. I know you can do that for me, though, because you're such a sweetheart. All right, so we'll just stop there.
Right.
So that's doing a lot of things, actually. So that would be an example of a role play drill. And I would be demonstrating that for a client, and then they would actually be doing it back for me, back and forth. And there's hundreds of different role plays that you can do, involving jobs, involving dates, involving different types of relationships. And you just make them up as you go. That one, I was totally improvising it on the spot.
For sure. And now what's the effectiveness behind that role play that you find?
Okay, first of all, the biggest key, just like I teach with everything in pickup, is I'm having fun. I'm being silly, I'm enjoying myself, and that state, that like fun, joyful state is going to transfer onto the girl. As long as you have that stronger reality and you really believe in it. So I'm going to be having fun, and that's going to boost my own state, and that's going to make her enjoy the conversation more and make her more attracted to me.
Right.
On top of that, there's a lot of smaller things within there that I'm doing. First of all, I'm qualifying her by getting, like asking her if she's going to do certain things for me, calling her a sweetheart, getting her to invest in the conversation more. I am kind of reversing roles a bit. So instead of the traditional date where like, I'm going to pick her up, I'm going to buy her stuff, I'm going to take her out to a fancy dinner, I'm telling her that's what she has to do for me, to impress me.
Right.
And it's fun for her, it's fun for me, and it's making her work in the conversation, which builds attraction naturally.
Okay.
But when I'm actually having that role play, I'm not thinking, what do I have to do to build attraction? What do I have to do to get her to like me? All I'm doing,
I'm just playing.
I'm playing around, having fun.
That's a cool thing because it's even when I remember learning new sports, it's the easiest time to learn is when you're just playing. Yeah. As opposed to sitting in a classroom, someone teaching you the sport. Okay, and when you get there, you have to do this, and you just go on the court and you do these things. And so that's I like that mentality behind it. Can you give me another drill or throw another one?
Yeah, sure. So this one is one of the first ones I would do with someone, especially with someone who has really, really poor social skills that really needs to work on learning how to be in the moment. Okay. Because another major problem that guys have is they don't know how to be in the moment when they're with a girl. When they're with their friends and they're in their comfort zone, they're able to have a normal conversation. But when they're with a girl that is attractive, they're in their head thinking, what do I say next? What do I have to do to impress this girl? Always thinking into the future. Right. So one of the first things I teach is I teach you how to focus on the conversation, how to focus on what I am saying, and actually listening to what I'm saying. Because if you're thinking ahead of time, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? You're not going to be paying attention to what I'm actually saying, and the conversation's going to have a huge disconnect. So this one's really basic. Okay. Only rule, 2 rules. First of all, no questions allowed, only statements. All right. Second of all, we're partners, we're helping each other out. So we're going to be saying statements. If I say like, this room is really nice, it's so white, and I love just hanging out in here. I don't want to hear an answer from you like, yeah, it is. Because now I have nothing to take back. I don't have anything to build on that conversation. You kind of killed it. Okay. So what I would want from you is saying, yeah, it is really white. You know what else is really white? Is snow. I love going like skiing in the wintertime. And then I could take from that. I'm threading that conversation. So I could talk about snow. I could talk about wintertime. I could talk about skiing. And I'm going to build the conversation from there. And then you're going to take one of my threads that you've been listening for and build upon that.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So I'll go first. One of my favorite TV shows in the whole world is South Park. Cartman just makes me laugh so much whenever he's talking.
I like cartoons all the time. Like, I love watching cartoons, and South Park is cool. Family Guy, after they came afterwards, one of my favorites.
Family Guy is also totally awesome. I love like the Stewie and Brian kind of interactions that go on with them constantly bickering and fighting. I really wish I had a talking dog.
I always never understand with that show, whether Stewie, when people can't hear him and can hear him, I'm always like, I love that part, that they just kind of leave it out there, that some people hear him and some people don't.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with like it's such a weird thing with the talking baby and how does he actually talk or does he not? It makes you think.
Right. And the talking dog and that people can hear and a talking baby that people can't hear. Yeah, that trips me out.
I also want to have a talking baby. Like when I'm older and I actually am like a parent, I want a baby that as soon as it comes out of my wife, I want it to be talking. That would be awesome. And I'd show it off to like everyone else, be like, here's my talking baby. It's so much smarter than yours.
I would always just think about being a parent in general. It's kind of a crazy topic for me because you think, hey, that's like me, hey, that's a little me. That would be pretty trippy. I don't even need them to talk yet.
All right, awesome. So we'll just stop there.
Right.
Very good job. Thank you very much.
That was pretty cool.
So basically, you notice the difference in that kind of conversation dynamic. Like we're both helping each other out. We're both talking. Obviously, with a lot of girls, when you haven't warmed them up yet, they're not going to be giving you those kind of receptive responses that I was getting from you. But you notice how once it gets to that point, all we're doing is just vibing. We're just having fun. We're not really talking about anything real, but at the same time, I'm connecting with you. We're each having fun. We're building on each other's conversation.
Right.
It's enjoyable for both of us. And I think like we've bonded more as a friend.
Yeah, well, we know stuff about each other, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And if it's with a girl, it's going to be the same kind of thing. Even though it's like kind of nonsense talk in a way, you're feeling more connected with her.
Yeah.
And this goes so much differently than what there's different strategies that guys do. But a lot of guys, when they're first getting into pickup, they will go with those very broad topics of conversation, like what is your job? And what are your hobbies? And what do you like to do for fun? And all of that stuff is good and everything, except that they skim the surface level of it and there's no depth to it. What we were talking there is, we were talking about Family Guy. This is something that we do for fun. Within that, it's talking about TV. Within that, it's talking about cartoons. Within that, we're talking about a specific cartoon and kind of dynamics that go with it. We're talking very specifically.
Yeah, no, I totally dig that. It's because, like you said, every time someone speaks, there's a bunch of strands of something that's interesting or that they're interested in.
Right.
And as soon as we talk about the talking dog, or, that means Brian has his drinking thing, or, the kid, like there's always, tick, tick, tick. He likes cartoons, means probably fun. Like you can draw certain things out of it.
Yeah.
And as you said, if you're listening, you can go, oh, wait, that's interesting because I like that too. Or I find this interesting too. And you can build that.
Exactly.
I really like the fact that you, in the drill, you said off the top, we're on the same team.
Right.
And it's interesting to me to watch a lot of guys go into, with this mindset that is like me versus you.
Yeah.
And, I always call it, communication is like a game of volleyball. And the ball being the communication, you never want it to hit the ground because you lose a point. Or that's not your objective. And yet, guys will go into communication with a woman, and they'll go into pickup mode, and they'll want to spike.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about here is just volleying. Just keep it just volley. Oh, yeah, go get it. Because people like if everyone's volleying, the ball stays up there, like in keep up, everyone wants to play.
Exactly.
But if you're spiking the ball at me over and over and over, okay, I'm done.
I'm really glad you brought up that point too, because you're totally right. A lot of guys are going into this community with no success with women, and a lot of them are already with the mindset, I hate women. Like I just want to get into their pants kind of thing. Like, just give me the techniques.
I got to get there.
Yeah,
right.
give me the lines. They're not focused on being a teammate and actually building something with a woman. They're just trying to figure out exactly what they need to do to get in their pants.
Mm-hmm.
And another way that really comes into play is the misunderstanding with some people in the community call it like negging a girl or teasing a girl. And a lot of the things I see when I'm working with guys is they're trying to, when I'm drilling with them, it actually feels like an insult to me. When they're giving me a neg or like teasing me about something, they're actually trying, like I can feel that negative energy. And that's not what those kind of things are supposed to be about.
Right.
When you tease a girl, it's about you're just having fun. Once again, my core concept, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself. And she's going to be enjoying it too.
Right.
It's just like when you're interacting with like a younger sibling. You just want to have fun with them. You're teasing them for fun and just being silly. Like, you are such a huge dork. I can't even talk to you anymore. That communication, that sub-communication, that energy is actually positive.
Right.
It's playful. It's fun. It's not, you're a dork. I don't like you.
Right. Yeah, and that's that's something else that you talk about is mindsets.
Yeah.
And like because there's a difference in mindset in what you kind of the two things you just said, even that dork comment, the way you said one, the way you said another. And I'm a strong believer in an invisible force that we have, which is created by our mindset. What are some of the positive mindsets that you have yourself that create success and that you instill in your guys?
Okay, there's a whole bunch. Like I've said, the first one is the mindset, the core mindset that everything you do is either out of honesty or self-amusement. Okay. And everything else kind of spills out from that mindset. The opposite mindset that a lot of guys have is I'm doing this to get a reaction from somebody. That's a manipulation mindset. That's trying to actually take something, that's trying to take value from someone. Whereas self-amusement and being honest is actually giving something to someone. It's giving value to someone.
Right.
Other things that spill out of that is a judge mindset, where you know that you're the cool person in the interaction and you want to find out, is this person cool enough as well? And you're going to be judging her in a playful way, not in a like mean, like make you hate yourself kind of way. By giving, like, being honest about it, like find out what your standards are. Actually know what your standards are in a woman you want to hang out with.
And that's big. Yeah,
very big. And when she communicates something that you actually like, reward her for it, either physically or verbally. Like, you know what, I think that's so cool that you're in a physical improvement. Or, I can't believe you just said that. I'm making you my new girlfriend for the next 10 minutes. It's just like, it can be either a more honest, like serious compliment or like a playful, fun one. And the same with teasing. Like, you know what, I'm breaking up with you. This relationship's never going to work. It's been 10 minutes. Like, I can't believe you just said that. It's a sham. It's over. But you're being playful the whole time when you're judging her.
Right.
Another one would be the curiosity mindset, where you're going into an interaction and one of your main mindsets is just being curious about her, finding out what makes her tick, what's interesting about her, what is her passions, what's her focus in life, why does she do the things she does?
Right.
Instead of the mindset of like, what do I need to do to get this girl to like me? If you're just curious about someone and genuinely interested, then a whole lot of other things just naturally come into play.
That curiosity comes from that now thing we're talking about. And if you're here and you're listening, you're like, oh wait, that's interesting. That's weird. That's funny. That's similar. Whatever. Why is that? Type thing. That's cool. Any others?
Sure. Another one would be being the boss. I really personally love this one. This is one of maybe my favorite in terms of how much fun I have. So the other one we talked about qualities about a girl, that's being the judge.
Right.
Another one is when a girl is exhibiting certain behaviors. So if I'm talking to a girl, let's say I just met her on the street or in a club or whatever, and she's just crossed your arms for me. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, close body language. Sweetheart, what the heck are you doing? Open those arms up, there you go. All right, so I'm just playfully telling her like that body language, that behavior is totally unacceptable. It's not gonna fly with me, open those arms up.
Right.
And I'm leading that interaction, I'm being the boss, I'm telling her what my standards are, her behavior,
Right.
and making her comply with what my expectations are.
I'm a big one on that too, particularly with smokers.
Yes.
And when someone's conversing with me and smoking, they have to either put out the cigarette or we can't talk. And so I dig the boss. So he said the boss, I was like, that's right.
And the thing is, this is the interesting thing about everything I teach, is all I'm doing here is I am respecting myself, respecting my own boundaries for what I feel is an acceptable behavior for girls that I interact with.
Right.
And I'm just telling her that I'm just being honest.
Right.
And I'm also amusing myself by making it fun.
Right.
But at the same time, it's causing a whole bunch of different things that are going on in this girl. She's saying, okay, this guy's a leader. This guy has real boundaries. This guy has expectations of me. This guy is like a cool, dominant guy. He's telling me what to do. He's not caring what my reaction is going to be. And it's going to build a whole bunch of attraction. But the reason I did that was not even to get attraction. I was just telling her what my expectations of her are.
Right. Which you already knew in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, a point, I guess, a sub point is that you need to take in your own expectations,
Yeah.
know what your own boundaries are before you can go out there and figure out anything else.
That would be one piece of advice I have for guys that are watching this, is to write down all of the qualities that you look for in a girl that you like, and write down all of the behavioral expectations you have for a girl. And maybe if you want to get really creative with it and sort of plan ahead a bit. I believe in some planning, but not like scripted, let's take 10 hours and figure out exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Right.
Just write out your behavioral expectations and maybe like, okay, so if a girl crosses her arms, because I don't like that, I'm going to uncross them. If she has her sunglasses on, I'm going to say, take off those sunglasses. If she's smoking, I'm going to say, listen, I can't hang out with you if you're going to be smoking. You're going to have to put that out. And that way, when you're actually in set with a girl, it's going to kind of come up naturally.
Even to add to that a little bit is just when I, talk with guys, work with guys, see it, and obviously in myself, is always the fact that if you have a boundary, first of all, you must know what your boundary is. So you need to write down. If you don't, sometimes we don't know exactly what we want. You know what you don't want or won't accept. So you can start there as a starting point.
Right.
But then the other thing is very strongly being able to walk away when someone breaks your boundary.
Yes.
And a lot of guys say, well, man, I can't deal with a girl who smokes. And then a hot girl will come in and smoke, and they're all of a sudden, they've forgotten their boundary. And the girl, hey, how you doing? I'm fine, how are you? And they're like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so, and you're like, no, well, that's your boundary. Hold to it. And I think that goes back to what you said. If you respect yourself and you know that I'm cool, and going back to your judgment thing, which I like, is like, I'm cool and I respect me. So I don't need to fight for that.
Right.
So that's cool. You do you. If you want to smoke and I'm not into smoking, I'm going to go over here and I'm okay going over here and letting you do your thing. And if you want to put your cigarette out and come talk to me, you will. Yeah. Because you're going to see, like you said, wait, that guy's a leader. Wait, that guy, he holds to something bigger than just he's not blowing in the wind. Right. And I think that's a powerful thing in of itself. That, as you said, builds a lot of attraction because that's not what everybody is.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing that a lot of guys have trouble with when they're first starting, because of course these are all these expectations and standards you have for women that in an ideal world, that's what you would want. Right. But at the same time, a lot of these guys are coming in as virgins or near virgins, and in reality, they would still a lot of them would still sleep with a girl if she's pretty enough, even if she's blowing through all of your expectations. Right. But the thing is to develop these kind of core mindsets about yourself, you have to start with them and follow through on them. If a girl's smoking and she won't put it out, actually just walk away. And eventually that will become you, and it'll actually become reality instead of it just be something that you're faking. Right. It'll truly become who you are.
On the journey, we all have a start point. Yeah. And, my start point was a few years, a bunch of years back. But I went from, zero to hero nerd to understanding how I could be a nerd and still converse with people. And I think there was a phase and there was a time where my boundaries didn't and my expectations didn't matter. You're right. And it wasn't just virginity, but it was after frustration. You go, okay, well, whatever. Yeah. She's going to make out with me, or she's going to sleep with me, or she's going to be my girl, even though she's not exactly what nah. And you have to come to a certain point to realize that you can't live like that. Right. And I'm going to ask you, what was did you have that?
Pre-community 2.5 years ago, basically I had no success whatsoever with women, to the point where none of my boundaries were even being crossed because I would never even get that far.
Right.
But definitely I did lava life dating for 6 months.
Okay.
Once I started, because I was too scared to actually go out and pick up girls. And while I was doing that, I was learning everything I could about boundaries. I was learning a bunch of inner game things.
Mm-hmm.
And during that learning curve,
mm-hmm.
there were definitely some girls where I would kind of back off on my own behavioral expectations of them, because I was thinking like, whatever, I'll just pretend that I'm okay with it and maybe I can sleep with this girl or something.
Right. I feel you. Yeah. I feel like when people understand that we all have an evolution to go through, and whatever phase, and you said it best, some people do, some people don't, and I didn't even think of it in that sense. But whatever your evolution is cool. Yeah. Because you can still get to the point where you're like, man, I'm okay with me. I like, and in fact, I'm kind of a big deal. I'm nice and be good there. So that's pretty cool. Well, instant dates. Yes. So, give me a little bit on that.
What most guys do, not just for daytime, but also for nighttime, is their kind of mindset is, okay, I just need to get the number. I just need to get the number, or I need to get the lay, or I need to do whatever. It's that kind of goal-oriented. Yeah, that's right. I have not had that mentality for a very long time. Instead, what I really encourage guys to do, just like I mentioned before, is have the mindset of being curious about a girl. Okay? And try to prolong the interaction as long as possible based on that. So you go up to a girl, I'm curious about her, I want to find out everything I can about her. Maybe we're on the street together and I'm talking for a few minutes. And then I decide, you know what? Let's go, I'm really interested in you. You seem like a cool person. And let's go get some coffee, or let's go do something that's nearby. Right. Okay? Preferably something that she can actually see, so it's not too much of a compliance test for her. Or maybe like my feet just hurt. But my objective is really, I'm just curious about her and I just want to get to know her more. Right. Okay? And she'll sometimes say yes if she's not busy, and sometimes she'll say no, because a lot of girls in the day, they've got things to do. Unfortunately, it'd be such a nice world if they never had anything to do.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. Yeah.
So if it works out, great. Then I'll go. I'll have coffee with her. I'll go to a park, whatever. Right. If it doesn't work out, well, that's when I take the number. Right. I've tried. I've been as curious as I can. I want to get to know her better in this interaction today, right now. But because I can't, now I'm going to go for the number, because there's no other alternative. Then I get the number. And then I call her up, I go on the date and everything, because I want to get to know her better. Once again, I'm trying to take things as far as possible because I'm curious about someone, not because I have some end goal in mind.
Right. So how do you deal with the phone call?
A lot of girls, it's very hard to coordinate time schedules where she'll actually pick up the phone, because girls work at night, they have school. I'm busy as well. Right. So it's hard to coordinate that kind of thing. I've actually found that texting just works a lot better. Okay. So most of the dates I've ever had, I've set up through text.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
The one other thing is that, amazingly enough, and a lot of guys don't think of this because they're so nervous themselves, but a lot of girls are really scared to pick up the phone as well. It's not even that they don't like you. It's not even that they've forgotten about who you are. It's that they're as scared as you, or maybe even more so, to pick up the phone and have a conversation with the guy that they've talked to for a few minutes and really like and don't want to screw up. And just like for guys, where they'll get a number and rationalize to themselves, well, I'm not going to call her when just because I'm too lazy or whatever. When really it has to do with, I don't want to get rejected. I've already gotten this number. I don't want to lose what I've gained, when really they've gained nothing. It's the same rationalization girls go through. This guy likes me. I don't want to blow it by talking to him on the phone and screwing it up, because then I've lost something. I'll just not even bother. I won't pick up the phone.
Right. That's a great state to put yourself into, because it takes you out of the selfish spot where you're in of, I can't believe she's going to hang up on me and reject me, and she's going, okay, over here, she's just as worried about this as I am. She needs to be comforted. She wants to get to know me, and she doesn't want to seem like a dork or whatever you want to do. That's a great setup. I also like what you talk about when you're in the interaction. You're not going for a number. So it's much, I mean, when you're curious about someone and then you keep, using that word, and I think it's a powerful word, but you create an attraction again, you create something that's bigger than the moment, bigger than just a number, it's a moment. And when you create a moment, it's much less likely that someone's gonna forget about you, not want to call you, not want to see you. So even if you don't get somewhere further that evening, whether it be the walk, coffee, dinner, tea, or or whatever, how long it goes, you do when you call her, there's a much more likelihood that, oh yeah, I know who you are because you're the guy I had the moment with.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think that's another powerful take home. It's like, don't worry about a number, just try to get to know somebody as much as you can.
And just for these guys that are watching, I just want them to think too about the few times in your life, because this is really rare, where someone was actually really curious about you, just authentic curiosity, and just wanted to get to know you for you. Not because they had some kind of other hidden intentions, but just because they're genuinely curious. And it's a really amazing feeling, especially when that person is someone that you subconsciously or consciously think is above you in value, like a teacher or a parent.
Yeah.
And that's that same feeling that a girl's going to go through with a guy that they find really attractive. Like, oh my God, this guy's actually curious in me. He likes me for who I am and what I'm saying. And that makes the conversation so much more natural and so much more easy.
Right. Men and women are very different in thinking, very different chemically, how things happen, very different in their dynamic. The one thing is, men and women, people's favorite subject is themselves. Most people. And when you're genuinely interested in you and authentically curious in someone's self, I'll tell you. You want to know about this? So that's a powerful thing in and of itself.
Right. And it's amazing how much more easily people will open up when they can feel that energy that you're actually genuinely curious about them.
Right.
Because I'm sure most people that are watching this can also relate to when they've had those interactions either with a girl or a guy or teacher or parent or whatever, who are asking them questions, but there's no sincerity to it. Just, how was your day? Yeah, cool. What do you do?
Right. That just kind a sentence. It grates me. Well, that's the other, that's, I guess, the other side of the coin, is that falseness, the mask that, well, I'm supposed to ask how your day was. Or I'm supposed to say, what do you do for a living? Or I'm supposed to blah. Or I should be this, or I should be that. And that's, that mask that we talk about in different connotations. And it's something you talk to guys about. What do you go through actually, practically, to be like, yo, take that off and just be you?
Once again, it's the one major thing you really have to focus on is, are you having fun in this conversation? Because if you're truly enjoying yourself, then you're going to be authentic. You're going to not have that mask on. And just think back to those conversations where you are asking people like, so how was your day? Like, how you doing today? What's your job? Almost definitely, in most of those cases, or all of them, you're not actually having fun in the conversation. And it's because you're not actually interested in that nonsense, that socially constructed nonsense that most people ask as a starting question. So for me, one of the big ways that I love getting in conversation is starting with some kind of cold read. And it could be anything like, just shake your hand. Oh my God, you have the strongest handshake ever. You must be some kind of pro thumb wrestler or something. And then you'll say something about that. This is just amusing to me. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's amusing to me. It makes me have fun. And then maybe I'll have some role play about how she's a pro thumb wrestler and like, what was, I saw you on TV a few years ago. That was you. You won that second place. Tell me what happened. Like, what happened in that final championship? And I'll just make up nonsense. But I have so much fun doing role plays and just being creative and silly and saying things I've never said before, that it's extremely authentic, and at the same time, I'm being curious about the girl. But not about her normal life. I'm curious about, can this girl be creative? Can this girl think on the spot and be silly with me? Does she have a sense of humor?
And the powerful thing about that is you qualify her without even trying. And it's like, if she as soon as she's like, why are you being so stupid?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, sorry, you must have been someone. I must have saw someone else, and you can walk away from that. And you're like, good. I don't want to deal with somebody like you.
Exactly.
Whether right now because you're not in a great state, or ever because you're not in a great personality place. And so that's a powerful thing. What's another one you might use?
You have Care Bear eyes. I just realized this about you.
Care Bear eyes?
Yeah. Have you never heard this before?
No.
Oh my God. I just know you're some kind of like either hippie or like working for an NGO or something. Like obviously I know you want to save the world. You want to save the panda bears.
Well, yeah, I do love the pandas.
Okay, you know what? I love panda bears too. We're gonna like team up together and save the panda bears.
Right.
Anyone we see like cutting down bamboo trees, we're gonna like murder.
We're in.
Yeah.
See, and it's so easy like that. You're having fun, you're goofing around and enjoying yourself, and all of a sudden you're in a conversation.
Yeah. And it's done so many things in that simple statement or role play of having fun. I've qualified her. I've had fun, which means she's going to be having fun.
Right.
I'm finding out if she's creative. I am having like a team mindset where like, hey, we're going to get together and do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding out so many like small things about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm communicating that I like know something about her. I'm showing her like, yeah, you have Care Bear eyes. You're definitely a very caring person.
Right. And that's also, on the other side, as the girl, you really give a snapshot of yourself that is so different than the majority of guys who will ever talk to her.
Right.
Every guy will come up and, or many guys, especially a beautiful woman, many guys are going to come up and tell her she's beautiful, or can I get you a drink, or can I buy you this, or can I do this, or can I do this? And so she has a row of guys doing the same. She doesn't even notice she's being hit on. Most of he's hitting. I didn't even notice. I thought you were just getting me a drink.
Right.
And then you do something like this, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that guy, he was different. And this is where I find, where I've met people who, or even dated people who weren't attracted to me physically. Girls have told me like, you know what, it wasn't like I've never dated a guy like you who was taller, or like a girl told me she didn't date muscular guys. And she was like, yeah, like, ew, it's yucky. But there was something attractive about you and the way we had our conversation was just jokes. And it was just nice and light. And she was like, hey, you didn't like come at me and try to get at me. You were just kind of like, who are you? And it was like, it was fun. And I was like, yeah, I was attracted to that. And it could turn someone who's not attracted to you physically, all of a sudden it could turn a switch on. So.
Yeah. There's something very powerful about just having fun in a conversation.
Yeah.
Just it's like being a kid in many ways.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about active listening.
Yeah.
You say now, being in the now, and listen to what she's saying, really. But how do you actually actively listen and engage without looking like you're spaced out, or how do you help guys get that?
Active listening is all about learning to refocus your attention from the future, having those thoughts about, okay, this is what I'm going to say next, or what do I say next, and focusing it, zooming it right into the present. Okay. So when I'm listening to you, what I'm doing is I am listening word by word what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm not trying to think what you're going to be saying like a second from now, what the rest of your sentence is going to be. Sometimes thoughts will pop up into my head like, okay, this is going to be my response to you, and I just ignore it. Like, I'm not saying that. And then I go back to just listening to you. Because that's what the human mind does. It's always thinking solutions to this conversational problem here. So I don't look stupid because I'm forced moment by moment. Oh, I need to say something. I haven't prepared anything. So yeah, it's all about trusting yourself that you're going to say something that's good. And that comes with time. But when you hear those thoughts in your head, like, you're going to say this, just ignore them. Keep focusing on that person word by word, and actually genuinely listen to what they're actually saying, and connect with them that way. Right. And obvious things were to show that you're listening, good eye contact, smiling, nodding when you agree with something.
Right. Facial
expressions like, oh, are you serious?
I love that you said the pause and taking in word for word. And, I call it just surrendering. And people don't like the word surrender, but it just means to give up having to be cool, having to be the guy who says something all the time, and just take in what's happening. And like you said, with time, you'll be able to oh, and say something humorous, or say something, something that'll make fun of yourself, or say something that's insightful, because it'll just start to come. But I feel like we've been programmed, because of our microwave society, that we always have to be
right.
Girl says something, you gotta say something faster.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, just take it. And I think even in that approach, you bring someone a moment that, let's be real honest, when you're, your first time you're meeting a girl, it can be a little bit like, you still get a little bit of a palm sweat in my, the heart still beats a little bit, and it still happens with me from time to time, and when you force yourself to take a breath and listen, you also allow the whole energy to kind of just mellow out. And when someone, for me, when someone leaves a conversation where you were both pretty mellow, or like, you start out and you can still be excited and passionate, but it was like, I just felt like, it was chill.
Yeah.
You don't usually leave those interactions and go, I never want to talk to that person again.
One other point that you just kind of reminded me of when you're speaking is a lot of guys, it's very true, they're trying to rush through everything and think like, hey, if this conversation has like more than a millisecond pause here, then she's going to boot it and leave. Like, I need to be talking and entertaining her the entire time.
Right.
Otherwise, she has ADD and she's going to be out of there.
Right.
When really that's the exact opposite mindset that a guy should have. And when I'm talking to a girl, I actually leave a lot of room for pauses. Mm-hmm. Just like sometimes it's just to think, like not because I have to think of a good response, but just so I can mull it over in my head what she said. Mm-hmm. Also, just I'll look at her and pause and not say anything and have this expectation that she's going to say more. And a girl is actually going to pick up on that energy and feel it, and oftentimes she actually will start talking more. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be that entertainer person. In fact, you really, really shouldn't be that entertainer person. You should be the guy that is being the judge in the interaction, having fun, and expecting her to entertain you.
Right. People go to watch, people pay to see and be entertained, but they go with a person who they can talk with.
Right.
Future projection, mm-hmm. Connecting with a woman. Well, what is future projection, and how can you use that to help you connect yourself with a woman?
Okay, so future projection is taking something that might happen in the future, mm-hmm. That the two of you could do together. And it could be like a role play, make-believe, or it could be actually real life and you actually intend for this to happen. Mm-hmm. So for example, maybe a week from now you find out this girl is really cool, and a week from now you want to take her to Toronto Island. Okay. You're like, you know what, you are so much fun. I'm taking you to Toronto Island. Have you ever been there? She says yes, no, whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go. We're going to go rollerblading. And then you get just like a normal role play. You ask like, hey, so what are we going to do? What else are we going to do? Right. What are we going to see when we're rollerblading? Like, watch out for that damn puppy. You just hit him. Okay, and be as specific as possible in this future projection of the two of you together. Like, hey, we're going to be holding hands. Oh my God, you've been rollerblading. You have sweaty palms. Okay, we can't hold hands anymore. And build up a future story of the two of you together that's fun and interesting and entertaining. Mm-hmm. Get her to invest in the conversation, just like in any type of conversation you're having. Mm-hmm. And in her mind, it'll be like, hey, well, that's something that we're going to be doing in the future, and it gets her excited for it. But you've built it up in a really like fun, silly, interesting way. Right. And there's always that kind of dual understanding where everything you're doing, or everything I teach anyway, mm-hmm. Is about having fun and just being interesting to you. But at the same time, it's important to know all the specific effects it's actually having on a girl when you're qualifying her, when you're building comfort with her, when you're teasing her, when you're doing a role play with her, whatever mm-hmm. it is. But when you're actually with her, mm-hmm. you're concentrating on having fun and being honest and being authentic.
Right. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. And I don't like me. Like, I mean, I'm cool, but, I'm a nerd. I stay home 15 hours a day and do nothing but read books, eat Oreos, and play video games. Not talk to girls. I don't know any other stuff. Authentic me sucks. Because every time I talk to a girl and tell her about my video games, or tell her about the new flavor of Oreos that are out, or tell her about this new Japanimation show I've been watching for the last 16 weeks, they walk away from me. So I have to fake who I am because the authentic me is not interesting to girls. How do you deal with that guy?
Okay, yeah, I love that question because I hear that all the time. Like,
Right.
I need to fake who I am.
Right.
First of all, I would definitely encourage any guy who's in that situation, and I mean, I've been there, World of Warcraft addict for 2 years, to start changing yourself, become a better person. But don't do it to get girls. Do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get a good job for yourself, make money for yourself. Find like fun, interesting hobbies, not so you can tell girls about them, but because they're actually fun to do. Don't like learn about celebrities and a certain kind of music and like build your life on inauthentic things you don't actually care about. Find out what you actually like. Usually guys that are in that situation, that are eating Oreos in their basement and playing World of Warcraft for 15 hours a day, it's because they're too scared to do anything else. They're just too scared to actually go out of their bat cave and interact with other people and deal with that fear of being judged and being rejected for who they are. So learn how to do that. And on top of that, it's a lot of guys really think that it matters what they do in their life and everything to impress a girl, when really it doesn't matter at all.
Right.
All that matters is whether you think you're a cool person.
Right.
If you honestly don't think you're a cool person, fake it for now. But you don't have to make up all these things about yourself and DHV stories and talking about leading people around and all of this stuff. It's completely irrelevant. If you want to talk about how awesome Oreos are, talk about it. The reason it might not be working in your devil's advocate story is not because those things aren't cool, but because in your mind, you don't think they're cool. And you're sub-communicating that to the girl. So whatever it is in your life that you have going on, even if you do play World of Warcraft 15 hours a day, make it cool. Listen, I play World of Warcraft 15 hours a day. I'm proud of that. I think that's awesome. I have this like level 80 warrior, and everyone thinks I'm awesome. I love playing it all the time. I have this sweet sword. Honestly, if you talk about it, that was kind of bragging, but as if you can even brag talking about that.
Hey, you bragging. I was kind of, I think that's good. Level 8? Yeah, that sounds good.
But yeah, if you actually think that's cool and you really enjoy it and you're passionate about video games and eating Oreos, and you really believe that, you can sub-communicate that to a girl. You can sub-communicate that to a girl who's like a perfect 10 and has like an awesome job and awesome friends, and you're busy spending most of your time in the basement. But if you truly believe that's super awesome, and you're like going up to this girl with a mindset of, I want to find out if this girl's cool, I'm curious about her, then you can get her. Doesn't matter what's going on in your life.
Right. I definitely tell you, if you like video games, if you like, whatever you like is what you like. Don't change it to get a girl.
Definitely. And if you want to become a better person for yourself and give up video games, great, but not to get a girl. And I think that's awesome because what you said there, because a lot of guys will be insecure about the fact that they play video games, and like they play Rock Band and they kind of hide that, and then try to tell stories that are what they think a girl will like, when that's doing the exact opposite of attracting a girl. It's actually going to be pushing her away.
You're just creating that space.
Yeah. So whatever you think is cool, have those standards. Is like honestly, one of my favorite bands is Aqua.
Okay.
Like Barbie Girl and all those songs. I think they're awesome. Like they're funny. They've got this like dance. I love dancing to them. It's so silly and hilarious to me. And when I talk to a lot of people, they think like, oh my God, Aqua, are you serious? But the way I communicate that is like, yeah, I listen to Aqua. You don't? You are a loser. I can't even hang out with you. Anyone who does not like Aqua cannot possibly be a cool person. And someone who like genuinely would think Aqua is stupid, I've actually brought into the mindset of like, well, okay, that song is cool. I like Barbie Girl. That was pretty fun. And they'll kind of like want to, they'll want to prove themselves that, okay, I do kind of like the stuff that you do as well, because I've made these dorky things about me super awesome just because I truly believe they're awesome.
Right. And I can't even lie, yo, I hear that song, I'll tap my foot.
Yes.
That's a totally thing. Owning what you do and loving what you do, but aiming to be better at what you do at the same time. I guess you've covered so much, and it's been an awesome conversation. Final takeaway thoughts for, the guys at home that are watching.
My final thought, that I'm just going to re-emphasize the kind of overarching theme that's been going on in this conversation, is find out exactly who you are. Find out what your standards are for women. Find out what your expectations are for their behavior. Find out what you do in your life and make it cool. Like whatever it is, that is the coolest thing. And everyone else should be kind of living up to that, whether it's video games, whether you like camping, whether it's certain types of music, whatever it is. Whatever kind of feelings that you have, like when you're sad about stuff, or if there's things you're really afraid of, you're afraid of spiders, make that your own as well. Be proud of everything that's both good and bad about you. Don't be insecure about that stuff. Just show that to the world with confidence, and you'll quickly realize, like, you know what, there's nothing to be afraid of. This is just who I am.
I had a good time talking to you, Vince, man. Thanks for coming into the men's room.
You're very welcome. I had a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome, man. I look forward to interacting some more, whether it be on camera or off.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Take care. Guys, this is Mark Sparks in the men's room interview series. We'll see you the next time.